So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mark your dates. August 31 to September 17th. Yes, officially we have gotten the confirmation. The Asia Cup 2023 will be held from August 31st to September 17th.
Yes.
And where is the venue? According to the latest release that the Asian Cricket Council has sent out, 9 games in Sri Lanka, 4 matches in Pakistan.
Who then technically are still the hosts though?
Pakistan are the hosts, but this is the hybrid model that was proposed. There would have been a lot of problems if there was no hybrid model, neutral venue, all those other shenanigans that would have happened with this. But luckily, Pakistan have gotten their way. So 9 games, if you look at it, 9 games in Sri Lanka, 4 games in Pakistan.
Yeah.
And remember, 2 groups of 3 teams each.
2 groups of 3
Yes.
teams each.
Yes.
So you got India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, and
Yep.
of course
India,
Sri Lanka.
Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Afghanistan and Nepal.
Nepal.
And India, Pakistan, Nepal are in one group. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Afghanistan are in the other group.
So India, Pakistan in the same group. But what we can tell you with certainty is that that match will be played in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka. All of India's games will be held in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Because they will not go to Pakistan for bilateral tensions and for obvious, you may say, security reasons that India will not tour. So, all of India's games, India versus Nepal, India versus Pakistan, will be held in Sri Lanka.
And the games further as well, if India are to progress, which they should.
Yep.
So top 2 teams, as Siddharth was saying earlier as well, the top 2 teams will progress into the Super 4s, and then from that you will then have 2 teams make it to the final as well.
So, the format is very simple. 3 teams in 2 groups each.
Yes.
Top 2 of each group goes into the Super 4. The winner of the Super 4 in both those, the top 2, they will contest the final of the Asia Cup. And remember, so potentially out of 13 ODIs, if India makes it, India play all their games in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
The venues which are there for Pakistan, according to the latest release, it will either be in Lahore or Karachi. The decision will be made accordingly in the due course. Lahore or Karachi are the venues for Pakistan.
Right.
Now, this brings about the end of what was a very turbulent chapter when it came to the Asia Cup.
A very long drawn saga when you look at the Asia Cup, and something, by the way, that's been grabbing the attention, I would say, a tournament grabbing such attention, that too, let's say a continental tournament. It's not even a global tournament for that matter. It's been immense for a better part of the last 8 to 10 months. There have been repeated meetings, there have been proposals. There's been the proposal of a hybrid model. There were talks about the entire tournament being shifted to someplace else. You had the UAE as well, who did want to throw their hat in the ring. Sri Lanka also dropped their hat in the ring. So a lot has happened over the last 8 to 10 months when you talk about this edition of the Asia Cup, which, remember, unlike last year, will not be the T20 format. It will be played in the ODI format. Now, of course, there is an official stamp on it. We know for a fact that the hybrid model has been accepted by all the concerned cricketing boards. All 6 nations taking part in this edition of the Asia Cup have agreed on occasions convey to the Pakistan board that under no circumstance will the Indian team be travelling. There was a lot of talk between the 2 boards. There was a lot of support as well that the BCCI received from Sri Lanka and some of the other boards as well. And in many ways, one can say that both teams, or rather both parties, have managed to find a middle ground, and there had to be that middle ground for cricket to move forward.
And see, you could very well argue for the fact that, okay, this kind of situation was waiting to happen because India versus Pakistan bilateral relationships are at an all-time low. You can't blame the governments, because remember, if India and Pakistan have to play each other in their respective countries, you need permission from the government, which the government does not give. However, I would say that India's stance, if I want to advocate the principle, if I want to advocate the principle of keeping sports away from politics, India's ground was anyway shaky.
No, I sort of disagree. I'll tell you. This isn't just about sports being kept away from politics. This is just one thing. This is about the security of the players. Not just yes, of course, the security is also determined by, let's say, how the two nations stand as far as the political context is concerned, as far as bilateral ties go. But the security, and we've seen that in the past. There was some explosion that took place, and this was one of the things that was cited during the PSL edition as well. Remember,
in Quetta.
So those things as well concerning, and that was one of the things that was said in one of the meetings as well. Those numerous rounds of meetings that the ACC had. So security becomes an additional thing, I would say. Yes, of course, was the fact that the two nations don't have very good bilateral relations. There isn't any bilateral sync, let's say, at the moment. So keeping in mind that, there was no way that India were going to travel to Pakistan at all. Add to that was the security threat to the players.
Because why I will come to a bigger update now after this. The security threat, I think, is no longer a problem in Pakistan. Because why? The likes of Australia, the likes of England, the likes of New Zealand, 3 teams in the past who have raised massive security bogey issues. They have toured twice. Australia have come after 24 years.
Yes.
England have come
right?
twice.
Yes.
New Zealand have come twice. So all this talk about the security threat in Pakistan is kind of misplaced. But
No,
before I come to this,
not in India's context.
in India's
not
context,
in India's context.
what has happened is you lost out on major instances in 2008, 2016 and 2019 when 3 terror attacks shook India's
Absolutely,
consciousness.
yeah.
I mean, 2008 the Mumbai terror attacks, 2016 the Uri attack,
Yes.
2019 Pulwama, which led to calls that the Indian team should not play against Pakistan in the World Cup. But all that fell into deaf ears. But now another major update that has come up is that, according to reports, the BCCI is very, very optimistic of Jasprit Bumrah and Shreyas Iyer making it for the Asia Cup. They are very, very optimistic about their availability because Bumrah, remember, he underwent back surgery in March in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And looking at the way how the recovery process is, the BCCI, the medical team and all the people associated with it, they are confident that Jasprit Bumrah will be back for the Asia Cup.
Well,
So is Shreyas Iyer.
that's a big boost, looking at the fact that this is a World Cup year, and what's the biggest tournament other than the World Cup for India? It is the Asia Cup, and what better time could the Indian team have asked for a return of their players? You expect India to be going all the way and play as many matches, so that these two players, by the way, who in many ways form the backbone of the team also, besides other players, you want them to have maximum game time. And you don't know what Jasprit Bumrah turns up after that injury. You don't know what Shreyas Iyer also does. Does he have to also change his guard? Does he also have to change his backlift, stance, those things, because he's also come off from a back injury. So maximum game time you want, and all eyes will definitely be, if these two players do happen to be part of the Indian squad and be playing in the Asia Cup, you do expect all eyeballs to be on them.
It's ironic or kind of divine that you use the term backbone of the Indian cricket team, because these two guys have been laid low by back injuries. And yes, see, you're going to play the Asia Cup, and before the World Cup you have a bilateral series against Australia.
Yeah.
So that is the situation we are looking at this point. So just to sum up the timeline before we exit, what happened? The Asia Cup standoff started right from 2023 when Jay Shah made a unilateral declaration that yes, we cannot travel to Pakistan for the Asia Cup due to security reasons. And remember, if you have to travel to Pakistan, Pakistan have to come to India, then government permission is necessary. Now, Pakistan retaliated by saying that we will not travel to India for the World Cup. And remember, the PCB chief Najam Sethi had cited force majeure. If there is a security situation, we will not tour. So, on the force majeure grounds, India then had to rely on a compromise model. Neutral venue, UAE or this thing was debated, but Pakistan dug its heels saying, no, we want to host it. So, a hybrid model was suggested. matches in Pakistan, India's games in some other venue agreed by the ACC members.
Also, just to add to that, because Pakistan had also threatened, it was on
Today.
It was a Sports Today exclusive when we spoke with Najam Sethi that he said we will also back out if India don't participate in the Asia Cup. We'll back out of the World Cup. Remember, there was just about a week back there was a special ICC committee as well which had visited Pakistan and spoken with the PCB officials there, including Najam Sethi, just to get a guarantee from them that they will not be pulling out of the World Cup later this year, because they don't want all of this to be happening. Whatever was happening around the Asia Cup, they didn't want a repetition of that, because there's broadcast rights, there's venues, there's matches, there's so many stakeholders, there's logistics to be taken care of, and you can't just have one team pull out ahead of the tournament because of political tensions between two nations, or let's say some sort of difficulty between two boards.
Yep.
So that is also happening on the sidelines. Things as far as the 2023 edition of the World Cup here in India is concerned, everything seems to be on track now that the Asia Cup is also ironed out.
And remember, had this situation worsened in the Asia Cup, the precedents would have been the 2023 ODI World Cup as well as the 2025 Champions Trophy, which has been held in Pakistan. So at this point in time, the hybrid model is kind of a 50-50 solution, but we are hoping things become better in 2025 so that at least India can travel to Pakistan for the first time since 2006.
That will be very tricky, very tricky.
No one knows what's going to happen in 2025,
Yes.
but now the breaking update that we have all got is two breaking updates. Pakistan, the Asia Cup will be played from August 31 to September 17th. 13 ODIs in total. India's games will be held in Sri Lanka. Four games will be held in Pakistan.
And the other 9 are going to be taking place in Sri Lanka.
That is the situation. So the hybrid model has been agreed upon. And remember, the other major update, Jasprit Bumrah and Shreyas Iyer are optimistic of featuring in the Indian side for the Asia Cup.
Which also, by the way, tells you that the rehab extends for another couple of months. So you will not see them. Of course, the squads are yet to come out for West Indies, so you can't expect, let's say, any involvement of these two players over there, because this update in many ways also tells you that their rehab is going to prolong a little more. And the earliest, maybe there could be a series that gets announced just ahead of the Asia Cup. You never know with the BCCI how cramped the schedule is.
It's tough because see, July mid, you're starting West Indies. You're
August.
ending it in August mid. Then you've got 3 T20Is against Ireland. August 31st to 17th anyway is the Asia Cup.
It doesn't look like, because 30th of August is when you have the 5th T20I.
Yes. In Lauderhill, Florida.
In Lauderhill, which is going to be India versus West Indies. Then Siddharth, as he mentioned, you're going to be having the Ireland matches as well.
3 T20As.
3 T20As followed by the Asia Cup, which starts on the 30th. So packed schedule right from July
12th onwards.
12th onwards is when India travel to West Indies. From that point on till August, lot of cricket.
Till November. You're packed with cricket
Till November, exactly. So because you've got the Asia Cup followed by the World Cup, which starts apparently on the 4th or the 5th. Dates for that also are yet to be out.
It will be out soon. Now the Asia Cup schedule is out. Pretty soon the World Cup schedule is also going to be announced officially. Although we at Sports Today also cited the fact that the tentative draft schedule is out. These are the dates for India. October 15th is India versus Pakistan.
15th or 18th?
They say 15th.
Okay.
So that is the way. So this is the Asia Cup schedule. Thank goodness there has been a solution to it. Cricket in the end is the winner. India versus Pakistan fans, you also are going to win big time. So thank you so much folks for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on this Asia Cup as and when it comes. From me and Harshit here, it's bye-bye. See you soon.